Millions of people around the world have watched The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit films over the years. Many of them, who had never even heard of the books before, were inspired afterwards to read them and dive deeper into Tolkien's world. Today, The Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit are among the most read and best-selling books in history. Besides these works, J.R.R. Tolkien's unpublished writings were later edited and published by his son, Christopher Tolkien, in more than 20 additional books set in Middle-earth. Hi everyone, and welcome to Friend of the Rings. In this video, we will explore all the books in Middle-earth universe, analyze their contents, and recommend the best possible order to read them. Anyone new to Tolkien's Legendarium usually asks the same question: where do I start? The best place to begin with is The Hobbit. It's an easy and enjoyable read, offering a great introduction to Middle-earth, its races, and its locations through Bilbo's adventures. You also get your first encounter with important characters like Gandalf, Gollum, and of course, the discovery of the One Ring. Next on your reading list should be The Lord of the Rings trilogy, starting with The Fellowship of the Ring, followed by The Two Towers, and concluding with The Return of the King. This is the central masterpiece of Tolkien's work and expands the world dramatically. You will explore Middle-earth in depth, following the journey to destroy the One Ring, witnessing the struggles of different characters, their motives, travels, and the rich history behind their world. By the end of The Return of the King, you will also get a first taste of the deeper mythology story is built upon. The appendices provide a vast amount of background lore that expands far beyond the main narrative. They include the history of Númenor, Arnor, and Gondor, genealogies of major Hobbit families, explanations of calendars and timekeeping in Middle-earth, linguistic details, naming costumes, and much more. The appendices are just a small glimpse into the larger backstory of Middle-earth. The next step for anyone wanting to go deeper is the Silmarillion, often considered the foundation of Tolkien's mythology. The Silmarillion, edited and published by Christopher Tolkien, is a collection of stories covering the first age of the world, while also summarizing key events from the second and third age. Here you dive into the ancient history of the elves, from their awakening to their journey from Valinor to Middle-earth, and the wars against the dark forces of Morgoth. The book also tells of the creation of the Silmarils and the tragic events that surround them, stories filled with love, betrayal, pride, and heroism that shape the entire mythology of Arda. These events slowly set the stage for The Lord of the Rings. Next are the three great tales of the First Age: Beren and Luthien, the Children of Húrin, and the Fall of Gondolin. Beren and Luthien is the greatest love story in the Legendarium. It follows Beren, a mortal man who undertakes an impossible quest to win a Silmaril after Luthien's father Sethis as a condition for their union. The tale blends romance, sacrifice, and courage, showing how love can endure even against impossible odds. The Children of Húrin is perhaps the darkest and most tragic story in Tolkien's world. It follows Túrin, son of Húrin, whose family is cursed by Morgoth. As Túrin grows into a great warrior, he struggles against fate, pride, and doom itself, leading to a life filled with heroism, loss, and tragedy. The story deeply explores the suffering of his entire family, including Húrin, his mother Morwen, and his sister Nienor. The Fall of Gondolin tells the story of the hidden elven city of Gondolin during the final years of the First Age. Founded by King Turgon, it is kept secret for centuries as a refuge from Morgoth's power. Eventually, betrayal leads to its discovery and destruction, resulting in one of the most dramatic and heartbreaking falls in all of Tolkien's Legendarium. Next on the list is the Unfinished Tales. As the name suggests, this book collects unfinished writings from across Tolkien's Legendarium. These stories are accompanied by commentary that explains their place within the broader mythology and how Tolkien's ideas evolved over time. Here, we gain deeper insight into characters and events only briefly mentioned elsewhere, including the nature of Gandalf and the Istari, the death of Isildur and the loss of the One Ring, the foundation of Rohan, and the story of Númenor before its downfall. It also includes the tale of Tar Aldarion and Erendis, one of the most complete glimpses into Númenor, along with a map of the island created by Tolkien himself. Next on the list is The Fall of Númenor. This book collects Tolkien writings about the Second Age and presents them in chronological order. Here you can explore the rise and eventual downfall of Númenor, Sauron's growing influence in Middle-earth, the forging of the Rings of Power, and the major events that set the stage for The Lord of the Rings. Since much of this material was originally scattered across books such as the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, and the History of Middle-earth, The Fall of Númenor offers one of the most accessible ways to experience the history of the Second Age in a single volume. Next is The History of Middle-earth, a 12-volume series collecting Tolkien's drafts and early writings, edited by Christopher Tolkien. The first 2 volumes, The Book of Lost Tales, contain the earliest versions of his mythology, written between 1916 and 1920. Volumes 3 to 5 are The Lays of Beleriand, The Shaping of Middle-earth, and The Lost Road and other writings. These volumes explore early poetic versions of Tolkien's myths, as well as the gradual development of Middle-earth's geography and legendarium. They also include early Númenorian concepts and experimental narrative ideas, showing how Tolkien's world evolved in its earlier stages. Volumes 6 to 9 are The Return of the Shadow, The Treason of Isengard, The War of the Ring, and Sauron Defeated. These volumes follow the development of The Lord of the Rings from its earliest drafts to its final published form, revealing how the story, characters, and structure evolved step by step over time. Volumes 10 and 11, Morgoth's Ring and The War of the Jewels, explore deep philosophical and cosmological themes, as well as expanded First Age material, focusing on elves, Morgoth, and the Silmarils. The final volume, The Peoples of Middle-earth, include late writings on Númenor, hobbits, and the development of the appendices. Next is The Nature of Middle-earth, a modern collection of Tolkien's late writings. It focuses on Tolkien's philosophical, linguistic, and cosmological ideas, exploring how the inner workings of Middle-earth evolved in his later life. After that comes the Letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, a collection of his personal correspondence. These letters give a direct insight into Tolkien's thoughts, creative process, and intention behind his world-building, making it one of the most valuable sources for understanding his mind. Following that is J.R.R. Tolkien, artist and illustrator, a collection of over 200 drawings and paintings by Tolkien himself, showcasing his artistic vision from childhood sketches to his later works, mainly focused on The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. Next is The History of the Hobbit, a 2-volume study containing unpublished drafts and revisions of The Hobbit, along with early maps and illustrations by Tolkien. After that is Bilbo's Last Song, a poem depicting Bilbo Baggins reflecting on his life and preparing to depart from Middle-earth at the Grey Heavens. Then comes The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, a collection of poems centered around Tom Bombadil and other folklore-style stories from Middle-earth, exploring playful and mysterious elements of its world. Finally, Tales from the Perilous Realm gathers several shorter stories by Tolkien, showing a very different, more fairy tale-like side of his writing. As you can see, the work behind Middle-earth is enormous. You can explore its history in incredible depth, from epic wars and ancient myths to linguistic notes and philosophical reflections. Christopher Tolkien played a crucial role in preserving and publishing much of this material after his father's death. This is my recommended reading order for exploring Tolkien's world. What do you think? Would you change anything in this order? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time.